I think they say he who feels it knows it. So I think it's better we start off with the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Do you agree with what people say that Nigeria's opposition parties are docile?
I beg to disagree. We are not docile, we are working within our own capabilities. You know, electioneering in Nigeria is not child's play. It involves so much money, you know, so much work, planning, strategies and all that. And all these things boil down to money. And nobody funds the political parties. There was a time political parties were being funded by government, at least some subvention every year. But in the past 20 years, we've not seen a dime. Most political parties are just struggling. Only the first 3 or 4 are managing to survive. And people should look at these parties. We are vibrant, we are ready to go, we have the capacity. But we are beset by lack of funding. And that is where the government comes in. Government funds all the agencies of government, for instance, INEC and all that. INEC is the monitoring, is the supervising agency for political parties. But they don't give us a dime. We're invited to meetings by INEC, nobody funds it. So I think that is one of the major problems, funding. Then another one is where the economy is not doing well, and the parties survive within the context of our national existence. We don't operate from the moon. We work within the country. So we face the same situation.
So I want to take that to mean that you do agree that the parties have been more silent than they should be, but the reason is because of funding.
Yeah, but I don't agree with the word docile.
Docile.
We're not docile. Like APGA, we're not docile.
Perhaps what some of these critics are actually referring to, and probably are making a comparison to probably what goes on in the developed world, where, you know, the opposition parties are in the news virtually every day, and it's largely believed because these parties actually do have a plan for the country if they are in power, whereas most of Nigeria's opposition parties, and I'm not saying APGA, don't get me wrong, do not have plans for what they want to do when they get in power. How do you see that?
It's wrong. Even my party is not an opposition party, so to speak.
Okay, because
we govern a state.
Okay.
Of all the 18 political parties in Nigeria, only 3 of us control states in Nigeria: APC, PDP, and APGA.
Okay.
So you shouldn't.
So should we call you as an opposition party?
We're not.
Okay. All right.
A party that controls a state,
yeah,
with 24 legislators in Anambra, 13 in Abia, House of Reps in Niger State, Taraba State, 3 House of Reps in Benue. It's not a small party.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we are working. Very soon we'll come up with the list of our campaign council, 2,850 members. You know, one beautiful thing about our political party is that we are very realistic people. We're pragmatic. We don't assume anything. And we are ready to go. APGA is the only political party in Nigeria with a clear-cut ideology. While other political parties are hemorrhaging, APGA is the only political party with a clean bill of health. And very soon, in 2023, you will see the capacity of our party, because our party is built on the welfare of the people. We believe that the people should own the party, to own political parties in Nigeria, so that the people have a say in the way the political parties are run. But that's what we have. We don't have that at present. If we can involve the people in the running of political parties, they will contribute to the growth of the party financially, morally, and otherwise. But since they are estranged from the political parties, they don't contribute anything. In fact, most political parties, their members don't contribute a dime. They don't pay their dues. For instance, in APGA, we have over 1.5 million members. If they should pay 100 naira every month, the party will be very, very buoyant financially. But we try to survive on our own by being strategic, by being professional in the running of the party, by being prudent in the management of scarce resources. That's exactly what we do. So I believe that the political parties in Nigeria under IPAC, Inter-Party Advisory Council, should be given kudos for surviving under very stringent environment, you know. And we don't go cap in hand begging government to give us money. Otherwise, they will begin to control us because he who pays the piper calls the tune. So we survive on our own. We create internal mechanisms to generate funds to manage our affairs. But what I'm saying in essence is that government should find a way to support the political parties and make laws that govern the activities of political parties and ensure that whoever goes against the laws are punished. The problem with our society today is that nobody is punished. People commit infractions against the law. Nobody takes them to task. For instance, in my political party, somebody comes up and claims to be national chairman of the party when he didn't participate in any convention of the party. He's not a member of our party. He's not in the leadership of the party. And we condone it. Our society condones it. How can we be a nation of law and legality? Then we allow such situations to occur. So for government to make political parties vibrant and robust, they need to create an agreeable environment for political parties to operate, to compete. All about political parties is competition. And he who wins takes it all. So government must create environment, create security. There is no security in the country. You just read now that APC candidate was attacked, PDP candidate was attacked in Borno. Why should it be so? Nigeria should be a free state. People should move about freely. We should reduce aggression, reduce inter-party squabbles, reduce inter-ethnic impasse. We need to grow as a people, love one another, and believe in the unity of our country, contribute individually, corporately to the growth and development of Nigeria. That's what we need at present.
Okay, it's widely believed, again, well, not widely believed, it's probably true that most parties keep quiet immediately after elections and start talking again when elections are knocking 4 years later. You obviously you can't say that your party isn't guilty of that too.
We're not guilty of that, because what we do in APGA as a political party is, there's what we call leadership qualities. Every leader must have basic qualities. The first one is vision. If you don't have vision, it means you don't have a roadmap. So most political parties don't have vision. And when you don't have vision, it means you don't have any plan. So that is why most political parties operate every 4 years. Every 4 years, they show capacity because they have got to sell forms and scout for candidates every 4 years. It's because these political parties are not viable. It is viability that drives the sustainability of a political party. Then the second one is consensus building, team player. Most political parties, they don't play that, they don't do teamwork. Most political parties in Nigeria are built on personalities. That's why I talked about the people owning the parties. If the people owned the parties would be more viable because the people would take it as their own and contribute to the growth of the parties. Then number 3 is charisma. Most Nigerian leaders are not charismatic. He's just talking about the Labour Party guy as a happenstance. What is charisma? Charisma is the ability to connect on a personal level. Most politicians are not charismatic. People don't even appreciate them because these people are not colossuses, as we had with Zeke, Bafemi Awolowo, Sadana of Sokoto. These people had clouds and they had pedigree. As my brother said, pedigree. What do these politicians have to offer? They're not charismatic. They're not. Number 4 is trustworthiness, credibility. You talked about virtues, you talked about values. Most political parties and most politicians are not credible. And what is credibility? What is trustworthiness? Trustworthiness has nothing definitely to do with honesty. An honest person may not necessarily be a credible person. A credible person is a manager of trust. Most Nigerian leaders are not trustworthy. And that is why the parties are not surviving, because people hardly invest in these political parties long term. The investments are usually short term. Once elections come, they chip in some money, win the positions, go for elections, win. and they shut the doors against political parties. So most political parties, their members do not own the parties. They are opportunists. They just come, get the ticket, go. And that is why carpet crossing, defections are everywhere. If people own the parties, if people love their parties, definitely they will not defect. And because there are no penalties, people do that with flagrant, with some, I don't know, with impunity. They do whatever they like because there are no punishments. Then the fifth quality is pragmatism. Most Nigerian politicians are not pragmatic. And what is pragmatism? Pragmatism is the combination of idealism and realism. Most Nigerian politicians are idealistic. If you vote me into office, I will secure Nigeria. Have you secured the borders? The humongous borders spread all over Nigeria. Look at the borders between Nigeria and Niger, between Nigeria and Chad. Who mans them? So our politicians do not speak the truth. They are very dishonest. Most of them are very dishonest. They go to people, they tell the people what they want to hear, and do otherwise. That attitude must change. Our politicians must be pragmatic. Promise only those things you have capacity to deliver on. Don't promise what you cannot deliver.
National Chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Victor Oye. Many thanks for still staying with us.
Thank you very much.
Now, arrow that people tend to want to fire at opposition parties is internal squabbles. Parties spend too much time quarreling within each other, fighting for. You just mentioned it yourself, probably a few things which your party has probably witnessed in the not so distant past. You want to tell us a bit about that and how it really is affecting your ability to really constructively criticize government, especially at the center? Because you say you're not an opposition party, which I agree. So let's say attack government at the center.
Yes, you see, when you talk about government at the center, the government belongs to all of us. Even though we belong to different political parties, we have the same goals, the same objectives, and the same focus. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Nigeria does not belong to a particular political party. Good, a political party may win the presidential election, quite all right. But governance should involve everybody, because Nigeria belongs to all of us. And that is why you have what we call inter-party council. Inter-party, that's what we call IPAC. But IPAC is not doing much because IPAC is not properly funded. And it's a problem. Remember that he who pays the piper calls the tune. And for us in APGA, we have had a dose of our own internal disagreements. Yes. I call it disagreements.
Yes.
And people call it factions. There are no factions in APGA, to be very frank with you.
So what do you have, really?
What we have in APGA is unnecessary meddlesomeness by some persons who have one interest or another to protect. That's what we are witnessing. In APGA, for instance, I've been the national chairman since 2015, June 6, 2015. And I've not been changed. Since 2015, I was re-elected in 2019, 31st of May, at Oka, and that was the only national convention monitored by INEC. No other convention was monitored by INEC. INEC is the statutory body that controls the operations and activities of political parties. So they came to Oka to conduct the national convention on the 31st of May, 2019. And in the evening, somebody else said he's national chairman of APGA in a convention in Owerri. How can you reconcile that? In a convention in Oka, the governor was there. 7,720 members of the party were there to elect the new. I contested unopposed. Nobody contested with me. We closed the sale of forms on the 25th of May, 2019. So I was the only one that turned up for the election, and I was endorsed unopposed. So what are you talking about? No court in Nigeria has made a pronouncement about my position as national chairman. Not any single court. The Supreme Court gave life to my chairmanship on the 14th of October, 2021, in a unanimous judgment. And that judgment has not been changed to date. So Political parties are suffering internal problems caused by people from outside who have one interest or another to protect. All the political parties in Nigeria, they have focus, but the meddlesomeness of some persons outside, especially the big wigs in the society, the money bags, who have one interest or another to project, they will bring crisis in these political parties. Stay aloof and be watching how situations develop. Why should a party like APGA be talking about crisis? We don't have crisis. I was the first political party in Nigeria to own a national office, its own property in Abuja. I did it. In 2019, I bought the headquarters, 4,000 square meters of land, and built an edifice there. And today we are building a 5-story edifice in Oka as the regional headquarters of the party. That is the power of vision. Most political parties in Nigeria just sit aloof. They just stand akimbo. They don't want to create wealth. I create wealth for the party.
So you need, in other words, you need that wealth to actually stand up and make your voice heard naturally. I guess that's what you're trying to say.
Definitely.
All right, you said something about the government at the center belonging to everybody.
Yes.
You also talked about the Inter-Party Advisory Council, which is actually supposed to create a voice for all political parties. What do you think can be done? I mean, let's look at what happens in the United Kingdom. I mean, constitutionally, you have a shadow government where the party in power comes up with a policy, the shadow government comes up with its own. You know, what do you think? Is that also a level of funding that needs to be done to bring parties up to a level where they can actually challenge the policies of the government at the center?
Remember that too many cooks spoil the broth. The political parties in Nigeria were 18 in number. At the time, we were 91. How could I could have managed 91 political parties? Even the 18 political parties are finding it difficult to survive. You remember what happened at the last primary? Most political parties could not meet up the deadline provided by INEC. But APGA was the first to meet the deadline because I saw what was going to happen long before it came by setting up an IT center within the party secretariat in Abuja here. I set it up in 2019. So by 2021, INEC said we must go digital. And I was ready. And we rolled out the drums. And today, APGA is surviving. So what I'm saying in essence is that the parties that should, the number of political parties too many for now. They talked about United Kingdom. Only 3 parties, Liberal Party, Conservative, Labour. In America, 2. But I don't say we should have the same 2, because Nigeria is a multi-linguistic nation, multi-tribal nation. Okay. So we need more political parties for people to ventilate their interests and all that. But in the real sense, government has to do more for political parties, especially in terms of electoral laws. Like the recent electoral laws, very beautiful, but the implementation is a problem. Then the courts also have a role to play. The courts are central in the survival of political parties. We should minimize internal squabbles by creating internal democracy so that people can ventilate their grievances, they can ventilate their interests and all that. But in Nigeria, it's not so. It's winner takes all. So we must do that in 2027 because this one is already gone. We should begin to create environments for political parties to survive, to leverage on one another, to interact and exchange ideas. And it's
to create the vibrancy that our democracy needs.
Yes, very important.
All right, I think we're just going to have to leave it like that. I've been speaking with the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Victor Oye, and we, along with Abiodun Adeniyi before he left, we're looking at the role of the opposition in Nigeria as the countdown to the 2023 elections continue. Many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, viewers.
That's where we're going to draw the curtain on the program today. Do join us same time tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Oloyede Owuru, asking you to go out there and enjoy the rest of the day.